Hey, girl. Hey, welcome to episode 3 of the Woman Pod or whatever it is that I want to call this. Not really sure yet. Yeah, but welcome or welcome back. So, I want to be very direct in this episode because I've been sitting with something about myself that I can't keep softening or dancing around. And I've told you guys since the very first episode that I am right in the middle with you. And so I want to say that I've realized that I have chronic avoidance patterns. And I don't mean that in a cute or casual way, right? I mean it in the sense that when things feel emotionally tense, complicated, or overwhelming, my default response has been to withdraw internally first. I know I can't be the only one. I just know it. Hopefully, I'm not. And I mean it in a way of not physically disappearing, right? And not abandoning my life, but emotionally stepping back. And I've learned that I cannot and will not be able to emotionally grow if I don't face certain truths about myself. And facing truths are always the hardest part. So, this episode is me naming it clearly, not to shame myself or to shame you if this is you, but to understand myself and hopefully to help you understand you if this is you, of course. For me, right, avoidance doesn't look like chaos, it looks like calm, it looks like silence. It looks like slowly processing internally versus responding externally, if that makes sense. It looks like or looked like needing space before I can articulate clearly how I may be feeling about something. And sometimes it looks like not fully responding at all until I am able to, or at least feel like I have thoroughly regulated myself internally. So I've realized that I haven't avoided things because I don't care. I avoid because emotional intensity, especially in relational spaces for me, it can feel like too much for my system all at once. So my instinct has been to step back, to think, to process, and then re-engage. The re-engaging part though, the timeline with it, I wish I knew at times. And the problem with that instinct or that reaction is that life doesn't always wait for you to process things the way you may need to, right? And people don't always understand that your silence isn't a reflection or indication of how much or how less you care for them or how they may feel, but that it's just regulation. In this season, I've learned that avoidance is rarely random, right? It comes from somewhere. And for me, it's not about wanting connection. It has become more so of what my system has learned about emotional safety over time, right? So when things feel too intense, too fast, too emotionally overloaded, my instinct is to go inward or has been to go inward first. Long story short, I've learned how to stay composed outwardly while taking my time to process inwardly. And over time, that response has become automatic for me. I mean, over time, meaning several years. So, not intentional, but definitely automatic. And to be honest with you guys, I didn't always have language for that. I just have thought, I need time, I need space, I need to think. And I'm pretty sure some of you guys have felt the same way. But now I understand that there is a pattern, like with so many other things in life, but there is a pattern underneath of that response. And what I've also learned is that avoidance has a hefty, hefty, hefty price tag and cost attached to it, right? And that price tag does not always show up automatically. It's not an immediate tag, but over time, it will appear. Because when you constantly withdraw inward to process, you start to delay important conversations that are necessary, disconnect emotionally without meaning to. Man, this is the good one, right? This is the one. You begin to misunderstand people's urgency. Not that everybody's urgency should be your concern, but if you're not careful, you will overlook the urgency of someone you love the most. And then you also will begin to carry things internally longer than what you need to, in fact, what's even necessary. And even if your attention in those situations, even if your attention was always to stay grounded, you will, by avoiding different things, you'll begin to create a distance that was not the goal. And y'all, I have had to sit with that truth without defensiveness. Not because I am wrong as a person, but in this season, I've learned that awareness comes with honesty and impact. And right now, I'm also learning that awareness is not self condemnation, right? So I give you an example. Instead of saying, this is who I am, I've learned to say, this is how I've learned to cope in the past. And I can learn new ways of processing things opposite of that. Because I don't know about you guys, but for those who can absolutely connect with me, I don't want my pattern of avoidance to ruin my emotional life unconsciously. Like, I want to be able to stay present and just be present, even when things feel super duper uncomfortable. Why? Because it's a part of life and it's a part of growth. I know that I will never be able to approach any one thing perfectly, but I do want to do so intentionally, not just for myself, but for how this or whatever may make somebody else feel on the other side. Whether that is in my marriage, in parenting, in business, or just in relation with family, with friends, whomever. And y'all, that's new for me because I have had a tendency to avoid, avoid, avoid. And yeah. And spiritually, this has also been super humbling, right? Because what I know is that God is not overwhelmed by our patterns. I don't think that growth requires us to dislike ourselves and to change, right? I think that growth requires honesty and a lot of grace. So I can say right now, aloud to you guys, that avoidance is a real pattern inside of me without turning it into this is who I am, because it's not who I am. And there is a big difference in that. And I am learning, and I want to say this for you guys as well, to live in that difference. So I want to close this, whatever this is, clearly, as clear as I was when I started it. I am someone with chronic avoidance patterns. I am also someone who is learning how to stay emotionally present without abandoning myself within the process. And both things are true for me and can be true for you too. And I think, in fact, I know that a lot of women will be able to relate to the tension of it all, right? I've had so many different conversations, which is why I'm in this space to be able to speak about it. How we have learned to respond to different things, or as a result of how we were forced to, or not maybe forced to, but how we learned unintentionally to cope with things over time. And now we're all in spaces, or I can only speak for myself, where we're having to unlearn and relearn, or unlearn and rebuild. And that's okay. So if you are listening to this and you recognize this within yourself, you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. You are just very aware now, and there is a different level of responsibility that now will shift to you as a result of this awareness. because awareness is truly, I'm telling you from experience, what I am currently in experiencing now, awareness is where the real change starts. And like I say all the time, I am not above you, I am not past you, I am in this thing processing it with you. But I do know for sure that chronic avoidance has played a large role in so much of my life, that I have made a choice to not allow it to dictate um, anything moving forward. Even if I am uncomfortable, I would rather face the uncomfortability than live in the gray area or hurt that it may cause the people around me relationally, that I may love, be in business with, whatever the case may be. And so I'm saying that to hold myself accountable, but to, in a sense, hold you guys accountable too. You are never in this alone.